Dispatchers allow more foreigners to enter the trucking industry. If you can't speak English, no problem. Get a dispatcher. So that's good and bad. I'm not going to go into the political side of things. I really just want to look at the facts of trucking here. A lot of foreigners that come into the country to drive are alone. They may have family outside of the United States, and maybe they send money over there, to provide for their family, which obviously the American dollar goes pretty far in a lot of places, but it just depends on the place, of course. So we are going to look at where are most foreign drivers coming from. Let's take a look at this article from 24hourtranslation.com. Immigrants have become a vital part of the trucking industry's labor force, particularly in states with high proportion of foreign-born residents such as Texas and California. Immigrants currently make up 19% of the 1.2 million long-haul truck drivers working in the U.S., according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Immigrants in trucking come from various countries, including Mexico, El Salvador, Guatemala, China, India, Poland, and Ukraine. California has the highest percentage of immigrant truck drivers, with nearly 47% of all truck drivers being foreign-born. The number of foreign-born truck drivers in Texas has nearly tripled since 2000 to around 94,000 people. In Houston, almost 40% of the local truck drivers are immigrants, despite immigrants making up only a quarter of the region's population. Immigrants from Cuba, Afghanistan, Central America, and other regions are now taking the wheel and filling the gap. So next, let's look at the cost of living, because I just told you that the cost of living in a lot of places is cheaper than in the United States, and if you're sending money, then it's going to go a long way. So the following is all according to livingcost.org. The average cost of living in Mexico, for example, is 63% less than in the United States. Mexico ranked 89th versus 6th for the United States in the list of the most expensive countries in the world. 89th versus 6th. Obviously, the dollar is going to go pretty far in Mexico, but we already all know Mexico. Okay, so let's go through them all now. So remember, when I say the percentage, that is how much less expensive the cost of living is compared to here in the US. Number one, El Salvador, that is in at 60% less. Guatemala, 65%. China, 72%. India, a whopping 82% less expensive cost of living. Poland, 57%, Ukraine 77%, Cuba 49%, and finally Afghanistan 80%. These numbers appear to be based off of three different factors that you can see here. We have rent, food, and transportation expenses. The top two items are basically the summary for the cost of living for a single person, and then next down would be for a family. So there you go. You can sleep in your truck and provide your family with a very good life financially, living outside of the United States. Honestly, that's a sacrifice. That's a family sacrifice. That's dedication, and I applaud that. However, we do have to acknowledge the effect it is having on the industry, the effect that it's having on American truck drivers' families. For a driver or an owner-operator who is supporting a family outside the U.S., the amount they need to make is significantly less, and thus an advantage over American owner-operators. I believe this is a contributing factor to lower rates. For Americans, unless you've paid off your tractor, unless you've paid off your trailer, and honestly, even paid off your house probably, right? Because we're not just talking about business expenses, we're talking about cost of living here. You have your personal expense there as well. You will always be at a disadvantage to a foreign driver that is sending money back to a family somewhere else if they don't have the same rent or same living expenses here for their one person. I mean, it just is what it is. Americans are at a disadvantage here. This is only part of the video. If you would like to see the full video, click here. If you would like to watch something else that I put together, click right over here. And don't forget to subscribe. Goodbye.